it's very timely for us to look at water and water's role in climate change, which is beginning to take center stage. And so climate change, while much of it is focused on carbon, it's a water issue, where it is, what is the issues of floods, of droughts, of tornadoes and hurricanes, of tsunamis, and of course of melting glaciers. So a lot of what we'll be talking about and be working on together will be linking water and its fundamental role in our lives and climate change, and most importantly, for us to find solutions to this. So as I shared about us coming back to the sacredness of water, we'd like to start each of our meetings together to have a glass of water. So if you can each hold up your glass of water, your bottle of water, whatever you do have. And for us just to take a moment, feel the temperature of this water, feel the heaviness of whatever this is in this cup. And let's just take a deep breath together. And do you want to close your eyes and just come to look at and appreciate how precious water is, and for us just to have a moment of gratitude for all that water does for us, how it sustains all of our lives, and asks for nothing in return. And water receives any message that you give to it, and we'll be learning about this as we go on in our times together. So if you feel inclined to add a thought, a message, a prayer, a blessing, or an intention into your water, we welcome you to do that. And then let's all raise our glasses to cheersing water. Cheers to each other and the community we're building, and to good health. So Madeline, let's start going into the next steps of the program. And by the way, this is of course all for you. This is interactive. So please don't be bashful, ask questions, raise your hand, put comments in the chat. And the critical thing that we learned from the last program was the content was fantastic. And the students participating loved the content. And what they were seeking was more connection and more community. So we've tailored the program this time where each of our time together, one of the sessions will be focused on the content and learning. One session will be focused on community, for you to be together, to get to connect with each other and to get to know each other and see ways that you can work and have fun and play together. So you'll be seeing this as we go on. And once again, please be very vocal with either questions or comments and what you like and what you'd like done more of or improved.
Awesome, thank you, Stuart. We had a couple of people that were having trouble joining the Zoom, but I think that everybody is here. Now I added the notes to the otter so that everybody can get linked in. And moving forward, we also have a really awesome guest with us today, Matthew Pucci, who was part of our first program, and he did an incredible job and was involved in our efforts for World Toilet Day and throughout the entire program. So he's just going to speak a little bit about his time with Water Emissaries as well.
Hello, everyone. I'll make it quick. I got class in a little bit, so I'll keep it snappy. But my name's Matthew, and I'm a senior at the University of California, Santa Barbara, studying environmental studies. And, I guess I'll start with kind of what led me to the Water Emissaries. I love studying environmental studies, but it is a very broad major. So it left me with a lot of questions as to, what do I want to do next? So I was really excited when I saw the email from the Water Emissaries to learn more about the water sector. And other than, knowing that water is super important and I loved learning about it, I didn't really know what the water sector was necessarily, beyond maybe municipal water supplies. But as the program continued, I found that I really liked the structure of the program. Every week we got to hear from new people about what they were doing in the water sector. And I was just really struck by all the diverse ways that people were making a difference. But my favorite speaker was Drew Fitzgerald with 501c3. I really loved what his organization was doing. And, I asked him, like, I really like what you're doing, but, as far as like what you did by creating this organization and being an entrepreneur, like, I'm an environmental studies major. Like, I don't know anything about like running an operation and, you know, being an entrepreneur, having a business or anything like that. And I was like, I mean, like, how did you get to where you were? And he was very frank with me. And he said that, you know, like, I studied art, like I'm an artist. I had zero business experience. I didn't know what I was doing, but what I did know was what mattered to me and how I wanted to make a difference. And he knew that he brought a fresh perspective to that sort of scene, and, you know, put a spin on things that, you know, business-minded people might not see things the way he did. So, yeah, it really inspired me to value my background, knowing environmental issues and environmental justice issues. And, you know, I began to value my own skill set and what I could bring into, you know, an entrepreneurial venture or a business. And it really helped me guide my post-grad life and try to figure out like what I'm going to do after I graduate. So I think I'll leave it at that, and I'll pass the mic over to Madeline again. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or anything like that. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think one thing that's really important is the diversity of backgrounds. I think that a lot of times in terms of water and water issues, people feel like you have to have a very specific or even a very technical background in order to make a difference. And it's so important to understand that every perspective that people can bring and every interest that people have related to it is equally as important when we're doing work like this, because there's so much work to be done. So moving forward in the presentation, onto the team. We have Didier, who is not here with us tonight because he is in Switzerland and it's about 2 a.m. there. So he will not be joining us for these meetings, but hopefully you'll get to meet him at another point in the future. And I am Madeline Dansberger. I'm the Director of Operations for Water Emissaries. I started as an intern about a year and a half ago and just fell in love with the organization and the work that they're doing. And I'm also a student at American University. I know we have a couple of people from AU here, which is very exciting. And I'm an environmental science major, and I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So from the land of 10,000 lakes, and I'm now in DC learning even more about water.
Hey everyone, my name's Caroline. I'm the outreach intern with Water Emissaries. I've been with Water Emissaries for about 6 months now, and I've just enjoyed it so much. I've learned a lot about water and the environment and how I can make a change. And I go to Santa Clara University in California, and I'm a biology major.
All right, now we are very excited to hear from all of you. We have a very large number of people, so we want to keep this moving at a semi-quick pace, as much as we would love to have everybody give us their life story in depth. If people just want to, I can just call names, or if somebody wants to kick us off and introduce themselves. We're also going to use this as a way to just take attendance to see who's here and who's going to be participating. So just name, age, grade, school major, and then either why water, what about it interests you, or a fun fact about yourself. Is there anybody that would like to get us started?
I can start off real fast.
Awesome.
That's okay. Okay. Hi. Sorry. My name is Molly Matheson. I'm a sophomore at Syracuse University. I'm an environmental engineering major. And I don't know why water is like, when I started environmental engineering, I wasn't really sure like what areas you could go into and like what it really entailed. But I started to like learn more about water in my classes, and I thought it was like a really important part of environmental engineering. So that's kind of why I wanted to like expand my understanding of it more than just like an engineering side. Fun fact. I don't know. I don't really have a good one. I also do have to leave really fast, so I'm sorry to like start that off, but I just like something came up. So I wanted to introduce myself before I left, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Molly.
I can go next.
Awesome.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nihal. I'm a senior, but I graduated a semester early. So I graduated from Christopher Newport University. So I'm in this weird transitional period between like now undergrad and then I'm applying to grad school. So I'm still waiting to hear back from them. I was an environmental biology major. And why water is just because if you break it down like in the scope of everything, I mean, the Earth's majority water, and a lot of places that are struggling, whether people think it's like social or whatever the issues are, it always can be brought down to the basic right of having water. And so it's interesting to me. And fun fact, I I play volleyball.
Awesome, thank you.
I can go next. Sorry. My name's Kieran. I'm a senior at Syracuse University, and I'm an environmental engineering major. And basically, I've only taken a couple of classes involving water throughout my education, but it's really interesting to me. And so I kind of wanted another way to learn more about it.
I can go next. My name's Sydney. I'm also a senior at Syracuse University in environmental engineering with Kieran. I was really interested in water. I actually had an internship with a power dam over the summer. So I got to see how like clean renewable energy could be used and how much like power water has. I grew up on the St. Lawrence River, so I've always been around the water and stuff. And so I've always been fascinated by it. And my fun fact is I'm a dual citizen with Canada, so.
I can go ahead and
now.
go.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Connor. My name's Tom. I'm a senior at Amherst College. And I think why water it's something, I'm sorry, I'm an environmental studies major. And water is something that I haven't learned a whole lot about in the classes that I've taken. And I think like regardless of what I plan on doing post-grad, it's really important to know about in the environmental sector sphere. And I was in an Olympic commercial when I was 11 years old. So.
Very cool, thank you. Connor?
My name's Connor Chilton. I'm a sophomore from the University of South Carolina. I major in environmental science. For why water, I guess. I've heard a little bit about water issues throughout environmental classes, and I've also been reading Superman's Not Coming, which has been very good lately. Fun facts, my favorite color is orange. Yeah.
I can go. My name is Leah. I'm a freshman at American University and I'm a biochemistry major. And for why water, I kind of was just interested because I feel like I'm kind of ignorant on the problems surrounding water. But I do recognize that both environmentally and like from an intersectionality standpoint, they're very important to know about. So that's why.
Hey, I can go next. I'm Gargi. I'm a grad student at Syracuse University and I'm majoring in civil engineering. So why water is because recently from where I'm from, there was a huge water crisis and they didn't have any water left in the reservoirs for the people. So, and then I learned about the virtual water footprint and all of that. That's what got me interested. Fun fact, I'm an international student. I can speak 5 languages.
I can go next. I'm Hannah. I go to American University. I'm in the first year of the ecology and evolutionary biology master's program. And I really want to work for national parks one day. So I really wanted to learn more about water and water equity. It's something I don't really know a lot about. And then a fun fact about me, I have a snake named Indiana.
I can go. My name is Hannah. I'm a sophomore at American University, and I'm studying environmental studies. Why water is, I mean, personally, I'm really interested in food justice, and I feel like food justice intertwines really closely with water and water justice. So that caught my attention. And a fun fact about me is I speak Yiddish. So yeah.
I'll go next. My name is Emma, and I'm a master's student at the University of Mississippi in the biology department. Why water is that I've been involved in agriculture for several years now, and my master's project looks at creating habitat for migratory water birds, particularly shorebirds, using surface water reservoir water on agricultural fields in the Mississippi Delta, which is an intensively farmed region of the nation. And so, yeah, my fun fact is that I used to be a farmer. And so all of this kind of wraps up into that.
I can go. So my name is also Emma. I'm a freshman at the University of Vermont. I'm an environmental science major. And why water is just something that's so important to all life. And I feel like I don't really know enough about it. So I want to learn more. And fun fact is I like rock climbing.
Emma, can you just put your video on for a sec so we can just see your face?
Oh, yeah, 1 sec, sorry.
Connect with you more fully. Okay, next up.
All right, who's next?
I can go next.
Go ahead.
So my name is Natalie Jonas. I go to NYU and I'm a freshman, and my major is journalism and environmental studies. And I just want to learn more about water equity and kind of environmental nonprofits. So that's why I found to this. And a fun fact is my favorite color is green.
My name is Christina Mueller, but I go by Christy. I'm a senior at the University of South Carolina. My major is marine science. So actually, hopefully one day we'd like to work with coastal water specifically, but my why water is because I'm from Oregon originally and kind of grew up in the classic Western water wars kind of conflict. So I didn't really want anything to do with water until I got to college and realized that that was the most interesting to me. And my research looks at water insecurity for like in Wash in Alaska. Oh, my fun fact is I ride horses.
I can go next. My name is Hope. I'm a sophomore at George Mason University. I'm an environmental science major. And my why water is I feel like it's the most important thing to conserve. If you're going to work on conserving anything, I think the first step should always be water. And my fun fact is that I played violin for 11 years.
I can go next. My name is Kiera. I just graduated from Drake University early, pre-law, sociology, and history. And I'm going to go into my master's for social work at U Chicago in the fall. Why water? Well, I work for a sustainable Iowa land trust. So a lot of the work that we do deals with like water quality coming from agriculture, which is like a huge issue in Iowa. We're like the #1 contributor to the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's just a really big issue here. We have really bad water quality, and a lot of Iowans have like a high percentage of lead in their bloodstreams, which is really horrible. And my fun fact is that I'm a yoga instructor.
Hi, my name is Kalani. I'm a PhD candidate in Hawaiian archaeology at UCLA. Why water? There's a lot of reasons why water, but I guess I view water primarily from a Native Hawaiian context. So I'm interested in how it impacts food sovereignty, the water rights that are occurring in that region because of the aftermath of sugarcane plantations, and then the cultural significance of water. So yeah, and how it just interconnects with everything from health to people moving off island and such. Let's see, my fun fact, I have 2 cattle dogs who are bilingual.
Aloha.
I can go. Hi, my name is Jackie. I'm in grad school at CU Boulder. I'm doing the Masters of the Environment program, and my specialization is sustainable food systems. And yeah, somebody mentioned it earlier, but water wars in the West are getting closer every day. So water is pretty important out here. And my fun fact, I used to operate nuclear reactors in the Navy.
Wow. Jackie, I'm a CU Buff grad as well. Go Buffs.
Hey, there's also some South Carolina people in here. I went to South Carolina for undergrad, so go Gamecocks.
Okay.
All right, I think we just have a couple people left.
I can go next. My name is Kaylee. I'm a junior at East Carolina University. I'm majoring in environmental health, and my why water is I'm also getting a minor in marine and coastal studies. So I want to find a job that can tie in both of them. But I really, because I live in the Outer Banks, and like with sea level rise and coastal erosion, like it's becoming like a really big problem, and the water quality is just degrading there so bad. So I think it's really important to like pay attention to. And my fun fact is I like to hunt and fish.
Thank you.
I can go. Um, I'm Shelby, and I'm currently a junior at DePaul University studying environmental science. The reason I'm so interested in water is because I grew up around it. I'm pretty sure I was in water and kind of swimming before I could walk. So I've been around it for quite a while. And I just know how important it is, especially out west, and throughout the world, and how we're having issues with like droughts and all that. Fun fact, I can play 3 instruments. I think that's, yeah.
Riley, did you want to go next?
Oh, sure. Okay. Hi, I'm Riley. I go to the University of Iowa, and I'm a junior. I'm studying chemistry and environmental science. And my why water is that I originally got into like water from watching like a 20-minute water crisis documentary. And then when I went to college, I started working on a project that involved water and like radioactive particles in waterways that were like affecting New Mexico and Iowa. So that was really cool. And since then, I've kind of like just created my own focus in water chemistry and preserving clean water. Yeah. Oh, and my fun fact is I have 2 cats, Nick, Furry, and Boots.
I can go next. I'm Alejandro. I'm a 3rd year, junior at U Chicago. So maybe Kiara, I'll see you next year. I'm studying history and political science. Why water? I love the beach, and I just enjoy the water there. And also one time, water flooded my neighborhood during a hurricane. So familiar with it in positive and negative ways. And my fun fact is that I'm currently studying abroad in Mexico.
Buena suerte. Do we have any more, Madeline?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Peter. I'm a master. I'm finishing up my master's of global health at Northwestern, and I'm sort of a late addition to the Water Emissaries team. So I'll be helping sort of on the operations side during this. But yeah, I guess water for me is definitely on the health side with water, sanitation, hygiene, and how that plays so much into health across the world. And so my master's thesis is just getting wrapped up, and it's about how climate change is affecting droughts and floods, which inevitably causes more dengue fever and diarrheal diseases, particularly focusing on the country of Peru. So that's just driven me to want to explore more areas of water innovation and water technologies. And my fun fact is I really enjoy painting. It's what I do for my relaxation and sort of a creative outlet.
Thank you, Peter. Do we have anybody else that hasn't spoken yet?
I haven't yet. Sorry about that. I was a little late, but hi everyone. My name is Esther, and I'm a senior at Skidmore College. I am double majoring in economics and environmental studies. And so why water is that I'm really passionate about climate change, but more specifically interned for a bank last summer and had to focus a lot on the agricultural clients and making sure that they complied with sustainable groundwater management regulations and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And my fun fact is that I'm from Uganda.
Awesome, thank you. I think that's everybody. I know we had somebody give an introduction in the chat as well. I don't know if anybody else wanted to speak. Okay, well, lovely. It is so amazing to see you and all of your beautiful shining faces here. And it is going to be so much fun getting to know each other and going through this program together. We are going to be dividing you up into sort of subgroups or teams starting for next week. So you'll have sort of a home base of people that you'll get to know a little bit more and spend some time with. So you're not trying to become best friends with 30 people, as much as we would love for that to happen. So moving into the rest of sort of the overview of our programming and then our speaker for the evening. Starting out with just our mission as a whole, Water Emissaries is a global network of young adults engaging in environmental education, allocentrism, and action-based initiatives with the intention of promoting our planet's water while improving social, economic, and health conditions worldwide. I mean, that's our main mission statement, but what's really important about this is young adults. We're focused on you guys and having the next generation be connected with the people they need and having the resources that they need to make the changes that they see, and also understanding that water as an environmental issue and water as a whole is such an intersectional aspect of all of life on Earth, and learning not to look at it just in isolation, but really understanding that water is affecting everyone and every single thing on this planet, and learning how we can utilize those connections to create solutions to the challenges that we're facing. So the main program goals that we have for you, I'm looking at all of you and I have the slideshow in front of me. Okay, there we go. So 4 main goals that we have for this are water education. So it seems like we have a really incredible group of people with a lot of background in the environment in general, which is really great. And our goal is to have you leave with an even more specific knowledge of water issues, water technology after the program that you can use to apply both throughout your studies and as you move into the world and become working adults. And then skills workshops focusing on not only giving you the information that you need, but the tools that you need for water advocacy, and also providing you with tools that aren't just for somebody that's made a career in the environment, but for wherever you end up, having the tools and the ability to advocate on behalf of yourself, on behalf of the planet and your peers in order to really work for the better good of everybody. And then networking as well, both networking with each other and creating a community with one another, and also networking with our speakers and mentors that we have. There are some really incredible people that are going to be coming to share about their experiences in their work in water, so you'll get the chance to know them as well. And finally, internships and opportunities to apply your skills. So we don't want to just, give you everything and then leave you without a place to apply it, but we also have sort of a virtual career fair for you to get in touch with companies and organizations that are looking for people that have the passion and enthusiasm that you have for environmentalism, and also the skill set to be a really great advocate within their organization for water and sustainability related goals. And just to go over the week by week structure, we're going to be meeting on Mondays and Thursdays. That information was sent to you in the spring 2022 PDF that has the names of all of the sessions. And Mondays are going to be more focused on community. So this is going to be sort of a primer for the content of the week, and just dipping our toes in, I guess, to what we're going to be doing, and also checking in with your teams before, obviously water, the environment, every cause that you could have an interest in is important, but what's more important is your well-being as a person on this earth and as a student. And so our goal as an organization as well is to make sure that everybody has the resources that they need to be taking care of themselves mentally as well, whether that's, doing a check-in with a glass of water like we did, or having potentially a meditation session or a movement, or providing other resources in that space. We want people to, we know that when you're taking care of yourself and all of those aspects, you're able to do the best work that you can. And then Thursdays are going to be more focused on actual content. So those are going to be panels with the speakers that we have coming in, and then focused on activities with group collaboration, and focused a little bit more on the quantitative side of things, and Monday's more the qualitative side of things. Those are very interchangeable, but as a frame, that's sort of how things are going to go. And we also discussed in the intake form what times work best for people, because we know that everybody is a student and is balancing classes as well. So we created a doodle poll. If you want to take some time to fill that out, it'll be linked in the chat, just so that we can look at the best time for everybody to meet on Mondays and Thursdays. And if something happens, obviously we'll have the sessions recorded as well, but we want to make sure that people are there as frequently as possible. So just filling out the times that you're available between like 5 and 9 p.m. Eastern in this form, so that we can sort of look at what the best time for everybody to meet is. If people would like to do that now, I can just give you a couple minutes to fill that out, or we can also do it as we move forward.
In the interest of time, let's let people look at it and either do it now or come back later. So, Madeline, you're probably going to go over this, but I just want to emphasize that we've created this program for you that is something we've highly cultivated, and we're making this to be, I would say, I don't like the word free, but as a gift to you. And it's our gift to help you in your personal life and your personal career pursuit. And the key is for you to follow your passion. Whatever you do that you're passionate about will lead you to great fulfillment and great rewards and riches, materially, emotionally, and spiritually. And so that's what we're here for. So this is to help you as an individual. And I will be vulnerable to say that in our last program, some students had some challenges, and they had physical challenges, they had emotional challenges, and we did all that we could to support them. And some of the content that we're looking to create will facilitate that and support that. So we want you to know this is not a normal, typical run-of-the-mill type of group and organization. It's very holistic. And we see and look at you as a full person. While your career and your goals are critical, what's as, if not more critical, is you as a human being. And how are you? How are you doing? What are the challenges? And where do you need support? And how can we, through the water emissaries in our community, how can we offer you the support that you need? So I want to emphasize that to you and let you know that part of the content that we're creating will provide this. And so in return, we're asking for you for a commitment. And that's a commitment of your time and you to be present, to show up and to be here and to participate. And I don't think that's demanding. I think that's actually a benefit to you, of course, to show up. We will be recording all these sessions and they will be posted, and so you can refer back to them. But we're really asking for 100% attendance. We recognize things come up, there's challenges, personal health, all those issues. And so we make room for that, yet we really want to make sure that day one that you are committed to give the time to this program, which is really giving time to yourself and for you to get the greatest benefit and value from this. And so part of that is that we ask is that we have what we call a 24-hour agreement. And so that means that if for some reason you are not able to participate, you let us know, whether that's by email, text, phone, to let us know I can't participate, and we're in communication, or any communication. When we send to everyone, we want to have a 24-hour response time. And that's something that we agree to ourselves to you, and we'd like you to agree back to. And that just keeps us in a very clean way of respecting each other and participating with each other. Even the communication can be, you know what, I can't get back to you. I'm in the middle of midterms and, sorry, but, I'll talk to you in 3 days or a week, whatever. But it's just the essence of the respect of at least communicating back something when you get information from us or you get something from us. And as I said, we'll do the same for you. Madeline, anything else you want to go over?
Yeah, no, that we're going to touch on those points a little bit more. But yeah, I think something that's really important to understand is that this should not feel like an extension of school where you are stressed and feel like you have to meet deadlines or you have to do things. The goal is that this is something that you're looking forward to, and it is something that recharges you throughout the week rather than being something that you feel like you have added to your schedule. And so if there's anything else that we can do that can make the experience feel more like that, please let us know, because as I said, our goal is to, facilitate you becoming better as whole individuals, not you becoming, the best textbook definition environmental or water advocate or the best textbook definition engineer or whatever else you're interested in. It's about you as a whole person and what you can do. And that is of utmost importance to us. All right, so just a timeline. We sent this out to you, but this is just an overview of what you've already been informed of. We have 2 sessions a week going until April. And we also have World Water Day that is in there as well, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but these are the premise of the sessions and what we're going to be talking about. And like I said, Monday sort of is a content primer and more of a community focused version of Thursday's content, which is about, really sharing you the information and also offering you the opportunity to ask questions and get to know the experts that are coming to talk to you from these different spaces within the water sector. So starting just to pause, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, things that they would like to share before we move forward?
And you can share them in the chat or you can share them verbally, so whatever. And we really encourage you to share as much as possible, and whether that's questions, feedback, insights. And you may not have any right now, and that's fine. Yet as we progress, I think you'll find that you will want to be very interactive and very engaged.
I just have a general question.
Yeah, what's up?
I don't think I received an email with a PDF or a timeline. I don't know if it went to my spam or if I just didn't receive one, or if we're gonna get that later.
I will make a note of that, and if anybody else didn't, we'll send an email sort of going over the content from today, and I will be sure to include the outline of the program with the dates in it so that everybody has another copy of it, or if they didn't receive it in the first place, we'll make sure that everybody has that at their disposal.
Caroline, can you put a link to that in the chat, please, so everybody can just access it easily?
Thank you.
Yes, I'll send that out.
Great.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay, lovely. Moving on. Okay, 24-hour agreement. We just talked about this a little bit, but again, it's just respect for each other, respect for us. We respect you, being in communication within 24 hours. We have things that we're planning for the program and activities that depend on having certain numbers of people here. And we're going to assume that you'll be here unless you tell us otherwise. So it's to your benefit and your team's benefit as well. Like we said, this is a community and it's focused on everybody getting as much as they can out of the program. And so it's really important that we're being respectful, obviously, to sort of the we team versus and yourself going back and forth, but also to your peers, because at the end of the day, this is a community more than anything else. And then transformative business practices. This is something that is really at our philosophy at Water Emissaries. It's also part of the Water Innovation Accelerator. And we have a letter that I will put on screen. I'm going to read a little bit of it, and Caroline is as well. And then if anybody wants to jump in and help continue reading that, that sort of ties into our values and our vision for this program. So I am going to, I don't know.
Madeline, how about if you and Caroline just read a little bit and then let's share the rest of it just in the interest of time tonight.
Oh yeah, I didn't see the time. Absolutely. Okay, I don't know if
people go over that.
People can see this. So we'll just read the first couple paragraphs, but Water Emissaries believe in the idea that we as entrepreneurs, activists, and other professionals should act out of kindness and care for a cause before thinking of economic gain. This is a critical part of our value system and something that we hope to instill in each of you as well. Impact investing and sustainable business in general has long been a term that is used to represent good investing for decades. It's an old, outdated term which needs to be refreshed to be current with the new ways of business, innovation, and change. Caroline, do you want to read that other paragraph and then we can go from there?
Yeah, it says every company is an impact company. Some have positive impact, many not so positive. Transformative businesses are found on holistic positive impact that will lead us into a future of success. Having concerns and taking actions for the benevolent impact business has on the full life cycle of a product and service is fundamental to a transformative business.
Awesome. So that our goal, we'll share this with you as well, but is looking at, the good that we can do for each other, for the planet, for water, more than anything else. And then moving into, oh my goodness, if I can present again. Can everybody see this? Beautiful. Okay. Moving into our values. These are at the core of everything that we do and also tie into what we have spoken about so far. So integrity, empathy, honesty, gratitude, compassion, service, and abundance. And these all relate to water as well, because water is something that, you know, we need to be grateful for. Water is an empathetic element in general. Water is also something that is extremely abundant, and we often phrase it as something that is scarce in environmental discussions. And, you know, our vision and our goal is that we understand that water is something that is abundant when it's used properly, and that we can continue that with, you know, the right management and the right people taking care of it as well. And then this is just some facts here that we're going to skip over for the sake of getting to our speaker, but we'll share this with you. And this is all information related to water that's good to familiarize yourself with if you've seen it before, or, you know, really put in your brain if you're not familiar with it. And then our platform as well, like we said, we have education, allocentrism, and action. So teaching you the information that you need, helping you build a community around it, and then giving you what you need to go out in the world to apply that as well. All right, and then World Water Day, we're going to touch on this as well next week. And we have a link to our last cohort's efforts on World Toilet Day, but we really want to get everybody involved in this as well. And then moving on to our speaker for the evening, Stuart, if you want to give an introduction.
Well, Madeline, I can get a self-introduction.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, actually, sorry. Yeah, I was having a little trouble. I'm on my phone, not on my computer. I'll just say very quickly that I am deeply grateful and honored to have Wes Marrin be one of our well advisors as part of the water innovation community that we have, and to have him here to be a full-time advisor to the water emissaries. And West has written a number of books, but one of his books is called Universal Water, The Scientific Theory and Ancient Wisdom of Water. And as West will go over quickly here, he has an extraordinary relationship and respect for water that bridges the science with the, I'll call it like the matter of water, the physical of water, but then with the spirit, the energy, the emotion, and the consciousness of water, which is truly extraordinary, and one of the leading people in the world that embraces and embodies water so fully. So I'll leave it to Wes to share with you all some of his initial thoughts, and just to let you know that Wes will be part of our community and actively engage with us throughout the whole time. So you'll have an opportunity to connect with him and work with him as you will with the other well advisors. And just a deep bow of gratitude to Wes to be with us and to be our first speaker to share with you his insights on water.
Thanks, Stuart and Madeline. Let's see, by way of background, I'll do the same thing. I'm an environmental scientist and I'm a hydrochemist. So I deal with the chemical aspects of water professionally. I'm also a surfer, paddler, swimmer, and so I spend a lot of time in water as well as working with water. I'm going to talk today a little bit about perceptions of water, because I think our perceptions of water are what really underlie our actions to do with water. And I think that it's a good place to probably start this group, because I'll put on my glasses here so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to talk a little bit about today's common views of water. From a scientific aspect, it's for people who don't know much about water, they think it's just a simple small molecule composed of two atoms, hydrogen and oxygen. Actually, that's grossly oversimplified. Water is an extremely complex network as these water molecules connect with one another. And a lot of the very unusual properties of water that support life and the earth itself are a result of those kinds of very complex interactions. So that one's not really true. Also, there's a common view today that more and more we've been looking at water as a commodity, which is subjected to laws and politics and policies and economics. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, except that it's become our only and primary view of water. And this really diverges from how humans in the past and even present day indigenous cultures view water as being integral to their life, being integral to the planet, being the source of basically what we see around us in terms of manifestation, and a real reverence for it, not just an appreciation. It's also become popularly known as sort of a resource to be supplied and a human right to be demanded. And those are both credible. I would say that certainly it is a resource, but it's much more than a resource. It's something very, very fundamental to all of us and to this planet. And yes, a human right to be demanded, but also it's a right for all living things, all biological forms, and even inorganic forms. Even the geology of this planet is very much tied to water. So we might think about, rather than demanding it to be a right, to be thankful for it, for what it is. Next slide. So let's take a look at why water is much different than we were often taught that it is, and that generally people believe that it is. I think, as Stuart mentioned, we're really a water-based species, and all biological life is, with less than 20% of it being actually carbon-based molecules and over 80% being water-based. And so we are really different forms of water running around that are structured. The water is structured by the various biomolecules, DNA and proteins and lipids and other kinds of things. But essentially, we're mostly water. And in fact, even the functioning of biomolecules such as DNA and proteins are very much dependent on water. Water sort of structures them, and they structure the water around them. And without that structuring, they couldn't get into the three-dimensional geometry that makes them bioactive. So a protein is more than just a bunch of amino acids laid end to end. It has to be structured, and water is very much instrumental in that. It also facilitates molecular communication via the cell membranes and the organelles, whether it be various forms of electrical, whether it be a chemical, whether it be various other ways in which cells communicate with one another, and inside the cell, that communication that goes on, that's all done through the medium of water. And then finally, the very bioenergetics, that is what energizes the biological world, really comes down to chemically breaking and forming water molecules, breaking in terms of photosynthesis, and forming water molecules in terms of the well-known respiration. Next slide. So if we move from sort of the biosphere into the geosphere and look at the kind of earthly processes that in which water plays a pivotal role, there's many. Maybe the most fundamental thing that water does, which is unrecognized, is done through its phase changes. That is, between the solid phase, ice, liquid water, and water vapor that's in the air. And it's through these various phase changes that solar energy, which is the supreme source of energy for the planet, is redistributed, and really is the source of things like winds and precipitation and clouds and ice melting and all kinds of things that are really have to do with how this energy is redistributed around the globe. I think as Stuart also mentioned, water is really the primary medium of climate change. There's a lot of attention paid on carbon dioxide, simply because the carbon dioxide contribution from humans over the industrial age has been significant and probably sped up the climate change that may have already happened in anyways. But basically, it is really climate change acts through water, and all of its effects actually come through water. Water is a greenhouse gas itself, which most people don't know, and even slight changes in water vapor in the atmosphere is one of the few ways that climate change can be altered relatively quickly. And as I'll talk, some of the more recent proposals for geoengineering have focused specifically on water to try to address climate change. Water also, through what's known as the global electric circuit, electronically links the planet of the surface to the atmosphere and even into outer space. Some of the changes that we see in terms of solar cycles, in terms of the sun, is actually translated into Earth climate through water. And on a more even kind of a fantastic, unbelievable kind of way, there is water in the depths of outer space, and it assists in everything from birthing stars, from the kind of the cosmic dust and gas clouds, including our sun, to doing things like providing something called amorphous ice, which occurs in the very frigid depths of outer space, which is believed by some scientists to have collected the basic kinds of chemicals that may have originated life here on Earth. Next slide. So as a water planet, the major water feature on the planet is the ocean. And the ocean is sometimes mistakenly separated as seawater and freshwater, so that the ocean is seawater and the continents, the aquifers and the lakes and the rivers are freshwater, and those are our sources of freshwater. It turns out that the ultimate source of all freshwater on this planet is the oceans. And that's done through the evaporation of water at the surface, which then increases the water vapor in the air. And then that's nucleated around little particles in the atmosphere, creating clouds. The clouds then can bring water over the continents. And that's really what the source of the lakes and rivers and aquifers are. The oceans will actually store most of the carbon and the heat and the minerals that are available on the Earth. The carbon through the sinking of various organic matter, most of it marine, to the ocean depths, where it remains sort of sequestered away from the atmosphere. So there's not a lot of carbon being put back up into the atmosphere. Heat, because the aforementioned kind of molecular network properties of water allow water to retain a lot of heat, and that heat in the ocean is then mixed through the various layers, and it's put through the oceans through various kinds of currents that circle the globe. And as that heat rises and sinks in the ocean, it sets climate regimes for the continents and for the oceans itself. The other thing that's interesting is that the oceans actually generate most of the oxygen that we have in the atmosphere. Oftentimes forests, terrestrial forests, are considered to be the lungs of the planet. But actually the planet has some watery lungs, because some very, very small little unicellular phytoplankton, small plants in the surface layers of the ocean actually produce the bulk of the oxygen that we breathe. Next slide. So that's sort of how water fits into the planet generally. Now, with regard to some special places where water fits in terms of our needs as human beings, Two of the ones that have been mentioned by some of the students, and it's exactly right, is energy and food. It turns out that energy sources, or all the energy sources that we use as humans, are dependent on water for obtaining it, for refining it, for transporting it, and for ultimately disposing of it. And this, whether it's fossil fuels or it's nuclear fuels or if it's even biofuels, those are all completely dependent on water. And water and energy thus exist in what's known as a feedback loop, so that more of one always requires more of the other. That is, more water usually requires more energy, and more energy requires more water. And particularly in the Western US, a fair percentage of the energy footprint of people is in moving water from places where it's abundant to moving water to mostly high density population places where it's not abundant. That's certainly the case in California. So there's this very close tie between energy and water. There's also, as you can imagine, a very close tie between water and food, certainly in terms of agriculture. But even if we look at individuals rather than the agricultural sector in general, about 90% of an individual's water footprint is related virtually to food. And by virtually, what I mean is that the water that's contained in food, you can't really see. It's not there as a liter or two of water, but it's all the processes that needed to go into producing that food and the amount of water that they actually used. And less than 10% is attributed to other uses. This is interesting because politically, most of the energy goes to, most of the attention, I should say, goes to saving water at the tap or saving water at the toilet or taking shorter showers or things like that. It actually turns out that even slight changes in diet and less wasting of food has a bigger impact on conserving water than do similar reductions in direct use at the faucet. And this is some work that I've done in looking at how, particularly I'm from California, how Californians can best conserve water in their own state. And when I talk about slight changes in diet, I'm not talking about, everybody going vegetarian or something like that. I'm talking about maybe cutting out meat once a week, or maybe one meal a day, and wasting less food. That's a big one, because in the Western world, we waste anywhere from a quarter to as much as a third of the food that is produced. We actually waste. So those could both have a huge savings, not only in terms of water conservation, but also in terms of water quality. Next slide. And finally, I think water is something that we can learn from. I mean, certainly our ancestors learned from water. They didn't have the modern engineering capabilities that we have today, yet they were able to live sustainably with water. Not that they didn't degrade the water sometimes, and not that they were completely benign in their use of water, but they were able to do it in a way that I think we can all learn from. And some of that comes from just the wisdom of ancient and indigenous practices and understandings, and the respect for water. I mean, we all need to use water, but there's a degree of acknowledgement and respect for that water that I think a lot of us have lost in the 21st century as it's become recognized more as a commodity. And I think that's really important. I think also I've done a fair amount of work on something called hydromimicry, and that's basically looking at tailoring technologies and management schemes that really emulate water in nature, as opposed to try to overriding it or kind of brute force engineering it. And, you know, there's a number of things that I can talk about that can be done. Everything from really simple kind of a small scale technology to like grafting glaciers, that is putting, you know, sticks and stones and charcoal and that at the foot of the glaciers, which will actually cause the glaciers to grow, and those can be used as a water source in high elevation locations, using stormwater for irrigation. There's technologies now that are using evaporation for desalination rather than reverse osmosis. So there's a number of things that can be used in which we can look at water in nature and try to copy that as best we can with our technologies. The other thing that I found about that is it tends to create less problems down the road, less secondary and tertiary kinds of unwanted effects, because much of what we're facing now with water is undoing some of the things that we did with water in the past couple centuries. And I think at this point, we can't afford to be making more mistakes with water. And I think one of the ways to avoid that is to try to emulate it and how it behaves in nature as much as possible. And the third thing that I want to talk about is certainly climate change and pollution have affected our natural waters, whether they be lakes or oceans or rivers. But I want to emphasize that these can also be the solutions, not the victims. And the way that can be done is the ocean can be used, as I said before, it's a great way to sequester carbon. That's a possibility. There's more and more levees that are being removed because they've sort of interrupted the natural flow of water, and that's originally it was thought that would help the situation out, but it's actually made it more difficult in some ways. And we'll go to the final slide. And so I think in closing, I really want to emphasize about our perceiving water differently. Our perceptions of water are generally limited by our collective interpretations and how we've grown to understand it through our social and educational conditioning. But those limited or rather biased perceptions often yield problematic solutions, and many of the problems we're dealing with water at this point in history have to do with problems resulting from those solutions. And I think that shifting our perceptions is actually the doorway to making changes that are lasting and don't have negative effects from them. And with that, I appreciate your attention and best of luck with being an emissary.
Thank you so much, Wes. That was a great introduction and primer to the goals. Yeah, a little round of applause. The goals of the program. And yeah, like we said, the idea is as a group to really shift the way that we view water and the way that we interact with water, because that allows us to throw a cliche and make waves of change in our communities, because you learn and we become a community, and that community expands and you can share with your peers as well. And if anybody doesn't have more questions or anything for the evening, Stuart, I don't know if you have any final notes, but we can wrap things up for tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to offer that West has done a write-up called Hydromimicry that I think is wonderful, that West has generously offered to share. So we will be sharing that with you, whether we do that here or do that afterward in an email, so you can learn a bit more about what West has created there. And as I said earlier, West is a critical advisor to us for the water emissaries and will be available. So if you have particular questions for him or feedback, he would welcome that, and we would as well. And this program is for you. We're here to support you, what your questions are, what your career goals are, and as I said earlier, to support you personally, because that's what community is about. And as I'm sure you've learned in your first years of college and or graduate school, it always comes down to one thing: people. And it's all about relationships with people. So we are here to support you and to have you ask questions. There's no bad question, dumb question. Every question is an opportunity to learn and grow. And the beginning of knowledge really starts with curiosity and not knowing. If you know it all, then you're full and you have no capacity to learn more and to learn. So be curious, be inquisitive, ask questions. And we may not have the answers, but we'll do what we can to provide those or to find experts that will provide those answers. And as you will see, as the program progresses, the people that are here that are offering their time and their wisdom to you are extraordinary. And they're extremely generous and gracious, and they care. And they know that you are our future, that the youth is the future for us to make the change that we wish to seek in the world, as Gandhi said. So we're grateful for your participation and for your curiosity, and for you to engage as deeply and fully as you can. And we understand school's a priority. And so we want that to continue to be a priority for you, yet we want to make sure that the program we've designed for you will provide great value and benefit to you today and when the program ends, and supporting you for whether it's internships or jobs or just having the relationships with more people that are in the water emissary community and are in the water innovation well community, which is over 200 people. So with that, I want to say thank you to each of you for showing up and participating. Thanks to Madeline for the work that she has done, the leadership she has, and Caroline, which both of them have been extraordinary. We're grateful to have women leadership. We believe that the critical part of our future is having more women as leaders, whether that's in water, climate change, or in the business world and entrepreneurs. And of course, deeply grateful to West for him being our first speaker and advisor, for Peter to be joining us as an advisor and part of the emissary program. You will meet Didier at some stage, who is just a remarkable young man who's 22 and is now full-time. He was an intern with us and then became part of our team full-time. So there's great opportunities for us to begin to work together and collaborate, and we're excited for you all to be part of this exciting time and program.